present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
Our kids, our schools, the importance of teachers and principals. That's next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. The most recent education news story is top of mind, an analysis of student achievement that shows Wisconsin with the largest achievement gap in the nation. But this show is also rooted in stories on teacher shortage, on educational leadership, and on the convergence of schools and social justice. And I welcome back to For the Record two educators with thoughtful perspectives on these topics and more. Edgewood College School of Education Dean Tim Slekar and Madison School District Chief of High Schools Mike Hernandez. Tim, Mike, nice to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about the two possible approaches to this conversation. And one is, issue by issue, the topical issues right now of the achievement gap and school environments and all of those really important issues. But then I'm thinking what I hear, and I'm thinking you hear this too a lot from citizens, is what's wrong with our schools? Well, and how can we fix them? And so I'm wanting both of your kind of big picture thoughts about the state of our schools right now.
When you say fix schools, that automatically implies there's something broken.
Absolutely.
Right? And
yeah.
so, and I always push back on that to say, what's actually contributing to some of the difficulties children and teachers are experiencing in schools that might show up on test scores or an achievement gap, that we don't interrogate that enough to say what's causing the gap. Instead, we get really angry and we scream about the gap or we scream about this. Instead, I have always been trying to push people into saying our schools, our leaders, our teachers take children as they come. And if they come homeless in February, if they come hungry in March, if they come without health care, if they come sick, that's who we get, and we do the best that we possibly can with that. And so do we need to fix schools, or I always try to push it back on, do we need to fix the reality of how children enter our schools?
Right.
I know that's a big push.
Right.
But if we're not willing to address that question, I will predict that we will have a perpetual achievement gap forever, because it just continues to predict that what we don't provide socioeconomically to kids.
Right. I mean, obviously, I expected that to be your answer. But Mike, I mean, at Doyle Administration Building, you hear as much as I do from the citizens out there they're concerned about our schools, but they're very, very critical, and they keep asking, why can't we do better?
I don't know if it's a question of doing better or not. The targets that we're going, whoever set those up, we have to take into account kind of what Tim said of where the students are entering in. I don't believe for a second that we're not doing the best that we can. My big thing is that we need to evaluate what we've been doing and then reflect on it and adjust. And that's where we run into some problems. Our leaders, the leaders in particular, they're doing a wonderful job trying to navigate both social issues, emotional issues, sitting down and then trying to figure that part out. It's hard, and it's obviously a complex issue.
So, where's the challenge, Mike? Is it in analyzing where we've been, or is it adjusting moving forward?
Change is hard. Yeah. Change is extremely hard. Yeah. I've said this a million times. Many people would rather go back to the good old days, when in their mind it was, Mayberry. And then I remind people, the good old days, if you were black or brown, you had a coin flip chance of graduating. We need to make adjustments and change to give equal opportunities. That's where the conversation of the equity hoarding occurs. That's where the conversation of, if we give that, I won't have this. I've had that conversation with parents. I've had that conversation with community members. And it's not taking away anything. It's a reminder that everybody's now going to have an opportunity to experience whatever that is. So I think the change component is what's hard for everybody.
Okay. So what concerns you most when you, I mean, structurally, when you look at the achievement gap, when you look at the kids that are coming into our schools?
I mean, what concerns me most is the failure, I think, of society, and I'll put a lot of this on politicians who like to put it back on teachers, but if we're not going to take care of the socioeconomic structures, if we're not going to deal with housing and homelessness, if we're not going to deal with health care, that's frustrating. But knowing that, being out there, the case of these are the kids and this is how they're going to come to us until for some reason someone's going to wake up and say this is unacceptable to let people live this way. So then from a leadership perspective that Mike's talking about, and this is where we're really moving into this, particularly as we're preparing principals at Edgewood College, this idea, what he's talking about is saying, if you're going to now lead in today's schools, you have to have a focus on what we call, the big concept, social justice. People say, well, what does that mean? And really specifically, we can get into saying understanding the place of culture and how culture plays into how you might teach. Coined culturally relevant pedagogy by Gloria Ladson-Billings. What are the language and the linguistic and the diversity of languages that kids are coming into schools with? How are you going to be as a leader to help deal with that? And then again, the equity issue. Kids coming in, the separation between the have and have-nots that sit in front of children, and as a building principal or a school leader, being able to help teachers recognize that. That's the shift that I want to see, as opposed to getting a license to be a leader in Wisconsin schools or a license to be a principal. You're going to be a leader who then gets a license. Does that make?
Yeah. But you know what? Let's take the first commercial break, because I want to spend a little time talking about educational leadership and relationships and what that means for people. Right. We're going to do that with Tim Slekar and Mike Hernandez right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, laminate, and even hardwood 75% off. Empire makes getting beautiful new floors easy. See samples in your home, get a free estimate, and have your floors professionally installed. Update your floors with Empire and get 75% off carpet, laminate, and hardwood. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
For the first time, Dinosaur Adventure roars into Madison November 16th and 17th at the Alliant Energy Center, featuring 80 life-size dinosaurs and massive family fun. Experience the thrill of the prehistoric age, featuring a 40-foot T-Rex, Triceratops, Velociraptor, and many more. Try your hands at a fossil dig, take a ride on a walking dinosaur, bounce around in the prehistoric playground, and many more dino-themed activities. November 16th and 17th at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison. Get your discount tickets today at DinosaurAdventure.com.
If you're on Medicare, remember, the annual enrollment period is here. The time to choose your Medicare coverage begins October 15th and ends December 7th. So call United Healthcare and take advantage of a wide choice of plans, including an AARP Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. It can combine your hospital and doctor coverage with Part D prescription drug coverage and more, all in one simple plan for a low monthly premium, or in some areas, no plan premium at all. Take advantage of primary care doctor visits, preventive dental care, and an eye exam, all for a $0 copay. And with Renew Active, enjoy a free gym membership and rewards for staying active. So call United Healthcare now and take advantage of the range of plans we offer. Also ask about our PPO plans that let you see any doctor who accepts Medicare without a referral. Annual enrollment ends December 7th. Call United Healthcare or go online today.
I am back with Tim Slekar, who is the Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College, and Mike Hernandez, former principal at East High School, now the Chief of High Schools for the Madison School District. And we're talking about education issues. And really, we're starting to focus in on educational leadership and the importance of that in our schools. And it's something I think a lot of people don't understand completely.
No, back to where I was going, I mean, we're talking about Mike, and so at Edgewood, very specifically, I made a very purposeful hire in Gerardo Mancia, who can't be here with us today, to lead our educational programs for the Ed leadership and to inject this idea of social justice. And one of the first things Gerardo did was find Mike Hernandez and hire Mike as one of our adjunct faculty now, who's going to be preparing, because Mike lives and works and breathes this idea of social justice leadership. So if we're going to do that, let's go out and hire those people. So we've hired intentionally people working in the field, but not just working in the field, but doing issues that deal with change, that deal with equity. And Mike was just talking to me during the commercial about the ability to be a little disruptive.
Yeah, I think that part of the focus of leaderships is that you have to lead almost in fear. There's no great social justice warriors out there that felt safe every single day. I mean, coming in and being a disruptor and being able to ask the questions of why and making tough decisions for the benefit of all students with a focus of the social justice component or some of our more disenfranchised students. I mean, that's a quality that I don't think has ever really been focused on.
All right, but help us understand, how does that focus on social justice and the atmosphere that creates within a school help a kid learn, help a kid of color learn?
Yeah. Mere models. I will never attack the social fabric of a family, but our kids need to see more adults fight for them, to stand up and do what's right.
When you talk about learning, though, Neil, I mean, I think that, when we talk about social justice and take away one of those things, so access to food is a social justice issue, okay? Maslow hierarchy, right? You can't learn if you're hungry. So people think about social justice as this kind of weird snowflake liberal thing, as opposed to saying, no, we're talking about feeding children and then bringing them to school and allowing Mike, the leaders, and the building principals that he works with, who work with the teachers, to then educate fully. You have to be able to advocate and say that about children very specifically, and so that's the issue that we've really trying to intentionally, with Edgewood, with our new leadership program, to say, if you're going to be an education leader, there are a lot of places you can go. But at Edgewood, with Mike, with Gerardo, with Jamie Sims, with Jennifer Apodaca, all the people that are there, you're going to intentionally get confronted by this idea of saying, your job is to disrupt some of the things that are stopping the learning,
right, and
focus in on that, particularly issues of equity, or more importantly, inequity. And so that's kind of, I don't think that those two, social justice and learning, are separate. I don't know how you learn if you're not advocating for issues dealing with healthcare, food,
housing, right,
things like that. I mean, so social justice isn't this lofty thing. We're talking about providing the basic essentials for kids so that when they enter schools, they're ready to at least move into a learning position.
So I assume then, Michael, that in a school in which there is a shared understanding of that and a common value of that tends to be a more successful school for kids.
Yeah, I think that as we sit down and you build the distributive leadership, and now it's just not on 1, 2, or 3 people's shoulders, it is a group effort, it changes the ship. If you have a comprehensive school to a smaller school, there's strength in numbers. And when people see that the leader or the principal is willing to do this, it empowers everybody. And then now it's not one person's vision. And that's really been a focus on the classes that I've been teaching at Edgewood, but have been a focus on, all of the professors that I've been having conversations with, because I want to learn from them as well, of trying to really put that into our curriculum as we are talking with our students.
So how does this inform, the conversation around educational leadership relationships? And I think I've watched Edgewood College over the years, Tim, move from a sort of a program for superintendents in training to this idea that educational leadership is found in positions.
It's leadership
around the board. Yeah, right. But then what does it say about the relationship between a superintendent and their staff and the school board, and then principals, and then teachers within the school? Do we need to do we need to rethink or help people understand the change that we need to see in those relationships?
I'm just thinking about Mike, and I'm use this opportunity to talk about the podcast, The Matter of Principles, produced by, Midwest Family Broadcasting. Randy Hawk, the vice president over there, put this together. But I just remember an episode where Mike's very specifically talking about walking together with teachers, with principals, this idea, and saying that it's not a leader as much. It's this. I just remember that walking together.
Yeah, and I think it was the time when we were at Sherman, when back in the day when they were discussing closing the school, and we sat down and we began thinking about, how do we make this a community-based school back before we had community-based schools. And it was an exciting time because teachers, SEAs, our security, everybody jumped on board and went, and it was now all of us. And we used the same model, 5 years ago when I moved over to East. When things are good, it's we. When if something bad occurs, it's me.
Right.
That's on me. And when you live and breathe that, staff are willing to take chances because they know that it's the leader, and that should be the principal. That's part of our job. And I point at myself. I understand I'm not a principal, but I am. Right? And I was missing teaching, hence that's why I went to Edgewood, because I needed to remember not to be in that ivory tower and to think about, the instruction and reflecting and thinking about how I wanted to change mine to make my curriculum, to make it relevant for everybody. It's that cycle.
Maybe a different approach to this, Mike, is do principals have the freedom to create that environment in their schools?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of good principles.
A matter of principles.
Yep.
No, and that's what we're trying to say is that I think too often leading versus administrating gets confused, and we're trying to say very intentionally at Edgewood, leading is your responsibility, which means you do have a responsibility to step up and lead and sometimes say things that might be a little bit uncomfortable to even your above leaders or things like that, because at the end of the day, what you're making a call for is what's best for kids in the community.
Yep.
So that's where we're pushing for this. That's what leading means.
When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about if there's a role for the public in this work. And we're going to do that with Tim Sleckauer and Mike Hernandez right after this.
No one sells more. Wild Automotive sells more SUVs and all-wheel drives combined than any other dealer. Wild is the #1 volume SUV and all-wheel drive retailer in Southeast Wisconsin. The more we sell, the more you save. WildAuto.com.
Congratulations to Dominique Harvey, a cross-categorical special ed teacher at Orchard Ridge Elementary.
The way I approach it is I just think about the younger me. How I wish somebody would have talked to me growing up, and someone actually sit there and who I feel really cared about me in the school system.
If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Sponsored by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
When looking for a TV and internet provider, we know you have a choice. This is Jessica. She still has satellite TV.
Well, I get tons of HD.
Spectrum has tons of HD, and we love Spectrum's 24-hour local news channel. Plus, we get exclusive access to premium original content with Spectrum Originals.
I don't have that.
Get Spectrum TV from $44.99 a month. Call 833-976-4499.
Spectrum Internet starts at 200 megabits with no data caps and a free modem.
We have to get internet from another company, and it isn't nearly as fast.
Spectrum Internet, $44.99 a month.
I'd switch, but I'm stuck in a contract and would have to pay up to $480 to cancel.
Spectrum has no contracts, and they'll pay up to $500 to help you out of yours.
That's it. I'm switching to Spectrum.
Get Spectrum TV and internet from $44.99 a month each. Call 833-976-4499. No one sells more. Wild Automotive sells more SUVs and all-wheel drives combined than any other dealer. Wild is the #1 volume SUV and all-wheel drive retailer in Southeast Wisconsin. The more we sell, the more you save. WildAuto.com.
Download the new Channel 3000 app and get alerted on your mobile device the minute news breaks. Wherever you go, be the first to know with Channel 3000.
We're talking educational leadership with Tim Slekar, who is the Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College, and Mike Hernandez, who is the Chief of Schools for High Schools with the Madison Metropolitan School District. It's been probably 20 years now that David Matthews from the Kettering Foundation wrote a book called Is There a Public for Public Schools? But it began to anticipate what we've seen, I think, which is a civic disengagement from the public and their most important institutions. It shows up in Madison a lot, and I think it shows up in other school districts as well. We are asking the public to support the public schools. And the public, in a lot of ways, is saying they want to help with the schools. But is that part of the issue, that the public doesn't understand the schools the way they did, as you said, Mike, the Mayberry approach of when I was in school? And what role does that play in the challenges that we're facing?
I think that inviting our public in, they're going to see some things that are reflective in society that might shock them. But it's a daily reality that our teachers and our staff see every single day. I think that could help better understand what issues are arising in schools and how that they're being addressed. We have to figure out a way in which we open up the doors to get the supports. Madison is unique. Coming from outside of Madison a dozen years ago, I've never been in a situation in which I've seen so many supports that are available from our community, whether it's the foundation, whether it's business, whether it's like the Goodman neighborhood centers and such.
Yep.
But it's also one of these, though, that there's a fear of letting people in to see the realities of a school, and we can't have that. We have to have this open door, two-way policy in order for us to truly problem solve.
Yeah, the image of a school in Madison today, which is our future. I mean, it's Madison in 10 years, just right there. And I think people would be stunned to see the diversity in our schools.
Yeah, but and you know, like Mike said, opening that door. I mean, even just as the regular class, when I was a classroom teacher, it was the idea of you went in, you closed your door. It's like, no, we need to shift that, you know, to not only do we, as teachers, open our classroom doors, but as building leaders and principals, we open our buildings. As districts, we open our districts, because the community, the vitality of the community is in those schools. You know, we say, cliche, but the heart of a community is its public school. And that's true, because when you see that public school go down, the community goes down. When you see that public school have a rise in morale, or, you know, a lift in morale, things happen for the sake. So the connection between the two has to be really put in the foreground, to the point, like Mike just said, we have to invite people in.
I feel a little guilty bringing this up so late in the show, because we could spend a whole other half hour talking about this, but I got to ask you, Tim, is there a shortage of teachers? Is there a shortage of principals? And what are we doing about that?
There's a shortage of teachers, and I know I'm always on record of saying there's an exodus, because we have a problem with actually keeping teachers, and so that does create a true numerical shortage, but that's a real issue. There's a shortage of principals. We know we need good principals. One of the issues maybe pushing some of this is to have, when will great leaders step up? And I think a great leader has a profound effect on teachers staying in place, and the fact that other teachers might say, that's a leader I want to work with. I want to do, you know, that collaborative work. So the essentialness there of good leadership as addressing the shortage, we have to be there. And so that's why we're saying we at Edgewood are moving the conversation about what it means to prepare educational leaders into the realm of saying, your job now is to step up and be an advocate for social justice, culturally relevant pedagogy, linguistic diversity, making sure equity is at the focus and the forefront of everything you talk about.
And without getting into a lot of specifics, Mike, does this influence what you are going to be looking for in a new superintendent?
I hope so.
Yeah. That they
100%.
understand this. Right.
Yeah, I think that it has to be a focus to understand the shifts and changes that we've experienced in Madison.
So, are we getting any better at this? I mean, I started with the show with this idea that there's a sense of tension, you know, within our schools, and our communities. But what's your...
I think we can get better at this. I think we have to be very, though, intentional about it, and that's why I keep using this word of intentionality. We can't look at licensing programs at institutions of higher education as if that's the way there. We have to at our own institutions, and so this is what we're doing at Edgewood, or what other colleges are doing too, but being very intentional and saying, we're not going to just licensed principals at Edgewood. We're going to, if you want to come in and you want to make a difference, you want to make a change, you want to be a leader for social justice, then this is what Edgewood is for. And that, again, comes back to going, listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
I was going to say, A Matter of Principles, because you get a chance to hear Mike talking about saying, why are we doing this? It's very important. You make the decision.
I'm going to end by inviting people to listen to that podcast and to look up Busted Pencils as well.
Yeah.
Tim and Mike, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
Yeah.
Looking for great sleep at a great price? Denver Mattress has you covered. During the Veterans Day sale, check out the Doctor's Choice, only $599.99. And all veterans and active duty military get free local delivery. Denver Mattress, the easiest way to get the right mattress.
Every once in a while, something comes along so masterful, it leaves you in awe. So inspiring, it changes your life. So beautiful, you wish it would never end. When that happens, it's something not to be missed. Shen Yun. Returning to Overture Center for the Arts, February 4th and 5th. Tickets at shenyun.com/WI.
It's a compact SUV engineered for a long life. Your new 2019 Subaru Crosstrek at Don Miller Subaru. It is symmetrical all-wheel drive, 33 EPA MPG highway, and great cargo space. Lease the Crosstrek 2.0i Premium, $229 per month plus tax. 42 months, 10,000 miles per year, no security deposit, $1929 due at signing. The Crosstrek 2.0i Premium. It's Madison's XUV. Don Miller Subaru, west on Odana or east side, High Crossing Boulevard, Madison.
Don Miller.
Spectrum Mobile makes it easy to save. Mix and match our unlimited and by-the-gig data plans and build the perfect family plan that fits your needs. Unlimited nationwide talk and text included. See for yourself with the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator. Enter your information and see how much you can save over other carriers. It's that easy. Plus, you can change plans anytime, and there are no added taxes, fees, or contracts. Visit SpectrumMobile.com/save today.
Looking for great sleep at a great price? Denver Mattress has you covered. During the Veterans Day sale, check out the Doctor's Choice, only $599.99. And all veterans and active duty military get free local delivery. Denver Mattress, the easiest way to get the right mattress.
Our thanks to Tim Sluckar and Mike Hernandez, and to you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.